On. Come on in. Come on in, everybody. How everybody doing tonight? We giving God praise. We giving God thanks, y'all. God is awesome. Hey, hey, Kels.
Hey, Pastor.
Hey, Kish. Hey, Miss Mary. I see y'all. Come on in. Tag, share. Let somebody know that we are on tonight. I thank everybody for tuning in with us on tonight. Come on in. Come on in. Let somebody know we on. Hey, Miss Tori, y'all come on in. God is awesome. God is moving. God is good. So, y'all, I haven't on, but I promise you, I have to get back on. I was telling my husband, I said I have to get on it. I never fell off. I promise you. In a place, because this is the hour you have to get back in your place. This is the hour you have to get back in a place that God is calling you to. This is the place that God is telling us that it's not to abort the baby. So we got to realize what God is saying. We have to know what it's doing. And so we always have to be on cue. Because can I tell you that what we don't realize is that the enemy coming to try to steal, kill, and destroy. Hey, Miss Jasmine, come on in. Hey, LaDonna, y'all come on in. If you can, tag, share, let somebody know that we on. I see you, Lee. Come on in. Because the enemy is always trying to distract you. The enemy is always trying to get you to annihilate, to abort the mission, to abort your assignment. How he does that? By sending distractions, by sending you a spirit of lack, by sending you a spirit of aloft. You have to realize that these spirits are real. And so when you get to the place where it's almost like you don't feel like doing it, and God telling you, yeah, you got to do it. You don't have a say so in the matter. And this is the hour. Let me tell y'all, if y'all haven't been on assignments, y'all have to get y'all assignments, because we see that the time is winding down. We see that the way the weather been. If we don't understand what's going on, hey, Kalandra, y'all come on in. If we understand that God's talking to us through the weathers, through different things that have been going on, just everything that been going on inside the different states. War is going on. You can't predict rather it's gonna rain, rather it's gonna snow, what's going on, because God say it's gonna be in diverse places. We see the earth, we're gonna see tsunamis, but I'm that have to be on it. Miss Michelle, come on in. Y'all tag, share, let somebody know that we on today. And I promise you I'm about to get back on it, because I have to get back into my assignment. I have to get back into doing what God have established me to do, what God have called me to do. It's no more slackfulness. It's no more taking time out, because you don't realize when God have set you on assignment, and when God have put certain times inside your DNA, you got to realize that God is doing it. It's almost like different things, different avenues that God have us in. And God will take the small things. We're gonna say for instance, like tonight I wanted to eat a pizza, because last time I couldn't eat the pizza because I was sick. And so I wanted to taste it again, and it's called the New York pizza. And it tastes real good. It tastes better than the other pizzas to me. And literally, God said, because I'm taking you into a new place, and this is the hour. Get out the familiarity. Get out that lack. Get out of being familiar with certain things. So God is about to move you in a whole nother territory. God is about to move you in a place where you might have to work a little more. God gonna move you in a place to where you will have to literally take time and sacrifice some time. This is the hour that you're going to have to literally sit in the presence of God. And that's what we're not doing. We're not sitting in the presence of God, because a lot of things, what we do, just think about it. We move on our own instincts. We move by what we feel. We move by our emotions. And this is the hour that we can't move by emotions. We can't move by feelings, because how many of us know that the enemy will jump on your emotions? The enemy will jump on your feelings. And so this is the hour that you have to know what God is saying. You have to know where God is pushing you. You have to know what God is doing. And so this is the hour that you have to get back on track. Can I tell somebody, get back on track? You have to speak this over your life. You have to tell yourself, I have to get back on track. I need you to speak. You better tell somebody, I'm getting back on track. Why? Because I don't have time to miss it. Because if God was to come and part the sky today, what do you have to put on the table to say, no, well, God, I did my part. God, I did my assignment. I did what I was supposed to do. Or will you have an excuse? And that's why you have to realize that it's time to get back on track. I don't know about y'all, but I have to get back on track. I don't know about y'all, but I lost too much time, downtime, because you got to know how to measure time. You have to know when it's time to come back. Yeah, you laid down for a while. Yeah, you was out for a while. Now it's time to come back. It's time to get back on track, because the enemy wants us to find every excuse why we are not lining up. The enemy wants us to feel good about why we are not doing what we're supposed to do for God. Oh, I've been church hurt, so that's the excuse. Oh, I just been in a place. Oh, that's another excuse. Oh, I've been working. God said what it is to profit a man to gain the whole world, but yet loses his soul. How many more excuses that we have that we not getting back in a place? But when God gonna come, I'm telling you, that's why God says it's gonna be a great and terrible day. Because what you gonna have to say then when God pop up in front of you? What you gonna have to say then when the sky gonna be part? What you gonna be running and saying, God, give me another chance? No, God gonna tell you that I gave you chances. I opened up doors. I gave you a way of escape. We don't never take God's way of escape. We want to take our own way. We want to feel the way that we feel. And God will come and start shaking our foundations. God will come and start moving things around to get you back in a place. And a lot of times, we be saying it's the devil. It's not the devil. That's tests that God be putting us through. That's not the devil. No, that's your finals that you're going through. That's something that you didn't give account to God for. No, because a lot of times you want to pray and say, no, what? The devil is crazy. The devil is stupid. No, one thing you got to know, he is wiser than anything that you could ever imagine. So stupid as he's not. And I'm not giving him no props. We're going to just tell the truth. You got to realize a lot of things, what you do is self-inflicted wounds. A lot of times that we want to blame others, but guess what? It's self-inflicted wounds. And why would I say self-inflicted wounds is a choice? Just like you had a choice to do it, you had a choice not to do it. Just like you had a choice to open the door, you had a choice to keep the door closed. Like you had a choice not to open up your mouth, you had a choice to keep your mouth closed. You got to understand that what we do is our choice, and our choices will get us in trouble. Do you pray about your decisions? Do you pray about what you're about to say? Do you pray about what you're about to do? No, we don't pray. When God literally say, acknowledge me in everything that you do, because guess what? One thing about it, God knows our ways. God already know. He say, Job said, the Lord knows the way that I take, but when I'm finished testing, I will come out as pure gold. And so this is the hour. You might be going through tests. So how are you coming out? This is the hour. You might be going through tribulations, but how are you coming out? Because one thing about it, God said, I already predestined you. That means God already allowed you to go through this before the beginning of earth, before the beginning of time. And God know that you was an overcomer, but he just needed you to see that you're an overcomer. Because a lot of times we'll fall prey to what we're going through. We'll fall prey to how I feel. We'll fall prey to how my money looking. We'll fall prey to the little things that we should be overcoming. So this is the hour you have to learn how to overcome. You better talk to yourself and say, I'm an overcomer. This is the hour we have to talk to ourselves. Hey, Brooke, come on in. Come on in. You got to, hey, Christine, I've been saying I need to see you, Christine. You playing. Okay, keep playing, Miss Rondo. Okay, Fran, I see you. Come on in, tag, share. You got to understand. You got to learn how to talk to yourself. You better tell yourself, I'm an overcomer. I'm more than an overcomer. You got to start speaking things that's not as though it was. Stop looking at your situation. Stop falling prey to your situation. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. When God say, greater is he that's inside you than he that's inside the world. God say, it's time to give up all those things. I'm more than an overcomer. You got to know when God is calling you to speak over yourself, you have to know how to speak over yourself. And I had to rebuke my own self. Let me tell you, I had to rebuke my own self, because the weatherman busy saying that it's going to be severe weather. And y'all, let me tell you, the ones that know me, I used to speak to the weather. I said, no, I said the weather going to hold up until after Bible study. But lately, what I've been doing when I see the weather, because I know I have different ones that travel to come, so I don't ever want nobody in no accidents. And so I just say, you know what? I counsel Bible study, and it's like the second Tuesday I didn't counsel Bible study. But you know what? God said, you got to get back in that place where you used to speak things that's not as though it was. You have power to speak to it, and it have to line up. Why? Because God said, I give you power to declare and decree a thing inside the earth realm, and it shall be established. Long as you paying your vow, He said, I give you right that you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, whatever you loose on earth shall be loose in heaven. He said, so I want to know who stopped you. Why did you stop from doing? Why did you stop from moving? Could have been that I just didn't feel like it. Come on, y'all, we're going to be real. Why you didn't come to church? Because you didn't feel like it. No, nobody didn't hurt your feelings because you went to McDonald's last week and they talk ugly and they got your order wrong. What you want to get this week? You went to Walmart and they had the nastiest attitude, but you want to get this week. The one that you staying with treated you like a dog, but you're still with them. So no, that's no excuse that you're going to stop going to church because somebody hurt your feelings. That's just a way out. It's just a way out. So these things that we coming up with to keep us in a place, know what? This is the hour that we're going to stop this. And so tonight, I have one of my spiritual granddaughters because her mother is one of my spiritual daughters, and they come to church, and I'm ministering, I'm pushing them in place. And she was supposed to do Bible study tonight. So I told her, know what? You're going to come on live with me tonight, and we're going to talk about, y'all got to know, y'all, we about to speak prophetic in here tonight. We're about to tag team in here tonight. And the thing about this was, how long will you let your giant intimidate you? Y'all better come on here. How long will you let that giant intimidate you? How many people that you dumb it down to when you're in their presence? How many people that you come down to, or if they don't give you the right accolades, or they don't tell you the right thing, you feel less of them? How long you gonna let that enemy intimidate you? How long you gonna stop going take that test because you don't think that you're gonna pass that test? Why you not trying to get? Why you not going back? Why you intimidated? Why is that enemy? Why is that giant still intimidating you? Or it didn't work one way. Well, go try it another way. It's always another way. You better tell yourself it's always another way. So you got to get to the place. Stop letting things intimidate you. When the last time somebody told you to be quiet when you needed to be standing and talking for yourself? When the last time that you let your money look at a situation and stop you from doing what God called you to do? It's time. When you gonna stop allowing that giant to come and intimidate you? Let me tell you something. You train for this. You have to realize that why David was on the backside of the desert. He was being trained to fight the giant. You have to realize nobody in my name. I'm being trained to stand where I'm standing today. It don't matter. I'm not looking for a platform because guess what? God already got the platform set up. God already said He's gonna make my name great. So I'm not gonna do something that's already predestined before the beginning of time. You have to know that guess what? When it's a giant, I'm not gonna let no giant intimidate me. They talk about that woman ain't supposed to preach, but a woman was the first one to go bring the word. You know how it is to stand inside a place, number one, that a black woman standing inside the place, guess what, to proclaim the work of God. Because guess what, I'm a living testimony. I'm the one that had 3 brain surgeries. I'm the one that died. I'm the one that God allowed to raise again. You got to realize that nobody gonna come and intimidate me. Nobody gonna stop me from preaching God's word. God is the only one. If He come and rapture me up, that's the only way I'm gonna stop praising God's name. You got to realize, you got to get to the place. It don't matter what your situation look like. You better praise God in season and out of season. You better not allow no giant to come and intimidate you. Come on, y'all. We ain't gonna let no giant come and intimidate you, y'all. I feel like preaching, but we ain't gonna preach today, Chad. Chaos. I'm gonna let you come on. But this is something that that literally stuck in my mind. Because when she had talked about the giant, you got to realize that the enemy try to intimidate you. The enemy trying to make you look at the situation through a magnifying glass. Anytime that the enemy trying to make you look at a situation through a magnifying glass, you got to know that you're greater than that situation. Anytime the enemy trying to make you look at people through magnifying glass to where it seems like they're more important than you, that they seem like they're more better than you, baby, you better move that magnifying glass and realize that guess what, they're on the same level. They all have the same playing field. It's not what you do with the playing field. It is what is where you at. Because guess what? I can't give my answers to everybody, and everybody can't give the answer to me because everybody don't have the same problem. Everybody don't have the same solution. You got to realize when God allowing you to go through something, it's for you to get the answer. It's for you to search it out. It's for you to seek out God into another place. And so now these are the things that stuck with me, Kels. When I said, how long will you let your giant intimidate you? Number one, in First Samuel, we're coming from First Samuel, starting at the 17th chapter, First Samuel 17. And I had to start the 39th verse. It says, and David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go this, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. You got to realize a lot of stuff, what you're trying to fight, God never approved it. Lord have mercy, that'll preach right there. You got to realize when you going in warfare, you got to make sure God approved it. Why do I say that? I'm glad that you asked, because know what God said? He said, the battle is not yours, it's mine. So why are you trying to fight something that you're not even approved to fight? Why are you trying to get your hands dirty when God says stay with clean, a pure heart and clean hands? This is the hour. You got to know that that's what everybody prayer not gonna work for you, because that's what not everybody in a place where you at. Everybody can't pray for you, because guess what? In the spiritual realm, you on a higher rank, and so everybody cannot pray for you. Everybody cannot stand in the gap for you. It's time for you to get it for yourself. It's time, because guess what David said? Saul wanted him to wear the garment. He wanted him to wear his protection. But can I tell you, Saul was fit to wear his own armor. David knew how to fight without wearing the armor. You got to realize that what worked for others might not be able to work for you. What's going forward for others, the reason why I ain't going forward for you, because that's not the way that God told you to take. So you got to understand, when God tells you to go one way, you better go the way that God called you to go, and not go the way that you think or somebody else feel like they should go. And so this is the thing. It says, 40 says, and he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had even in a scrip, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near the Philistines. Now check this out. What we don't realize, people be saying that David had 3 stones. He ain't had 3 stones. He had 5 stones. So I literally had to do this. But what people don't realize, y'all, that the 5 stones wasn't because he doubted that he was going to miss the first time. Lord have mercy. You cannot doubt when you're going up for something, when you asking God for something. God said, when you pray and you believe and you don't doubt, whatever you ask, it shall be given. So can I tell y'all, when y'all praying for something, y'all got to believe it, and y'all cannot doubt what God's saying, because it shall be established. It's a David had 5 stones, but because he thought he was going to miss the first time. You got to know he was trained for this. You got to know that guess what, on the backside of the desert, he had killed a lion and a tiger. You realize that he fought the giant before he had to come and confront the giant. Y'all on the front assumed that he was going to miss the first time. What y'all don't read, and because that's why they say study. What y'all don't see is that Goliath had 4 more brothers. You got to realize that David was ready for him and all his brothers. This is the hour you got to be ready for them and all their brothers. This is the hour you got to know how to fight. You got to know how to stand. So it wasn't because David. Come on, let's give a little history. You got to know who Goliath was. And we're going to go back, y'all. Let's go back in time. We remember Ruth and Naomi, remember? And they had another daughter-in-law named Oprah. You got to realize that Oprah was Goliath's mama. Y'all got to come on here. And what Ruth was to David? Ruth was David's great-grandmother. So you got to understand. For him, because they was known as the lords of the Philistines. Goliath and his brothers was known as the Lord of the Philistines. So he knew if Goliath Goliath was there, his brothers was coming too. You got to realize this is the hour that God will have you set up, that that's what God will already have you prepared. You got to realize you got to study somebody's background. You just can't go front somebody you don't know the background. He already knew, let me get 5 stones, because I know if Goliath there, I know he already have his brothers right there with him. You got to realize this is how I want to know who gonna roll with me. If you rolling, I'm rocking. If you me and my husband was saying the other night, I'm his 3, he my 6, I'm his 9, and he my 12. You got to understand what God is saying. Y'all understand what I'm saying? He my 12, I'm his 6, I'm his 9, he my 3. You got to understand who got your back this hour. And so Goliath was boasting is not because he felt like he already looked at David, and so he felt like his size would intimidate David, and so he started talking noise. He started talking that trash. You know, people that think they're better than you or bigger than you, they think they could preach better than you, they think they could pray better than you, and it's not even supposed to be competition. Why? Because we all part of the body, and you got to realize what part you do your part to the best of your ability. It's not supposed to be no competition in the things of God. So you have to know what David was doing. David was preparing himself, and he letting them know, I need to take off all this because I need to move. You got to get to the place to where you have to take off some stuff because you got to move. I don't have time to have all this garment on me that's going to be too big for me to carry. I got to loose myself so I could be able to move. You have to know how to bob and weave, because you have to understand that Goliath was talking noise. Goliath was talking how he was going to sweep the floor with David. We just talking, y'all. And you already know. But one thing that you have to know, that David spoke, he said, know what? He said, the Lord my God. You got to put God on the head of it. You got to put God in the beginning of it. You got to know you cannot do nothing without putting God first. He said, my Lord is going to have your head today. You got to realize, baby, nobody better not mess with me, because my daddy going to have your head today. My father going to have your head today. You got to realize, because when I don't fight with my own merits. I fight with the merits of God, because I know one thing, that God got my back. You got to realize, you better tell somebody God got your back. Let them mess with you if they want. That's why the Bible said, if God be for me, who gonna be able to be against me? And so you have to know that God got your back. Come on, Kelsey. We're about to let Kelsey come, so Kelsey could so she could give us from her point of view about the giants. So many of us have giants, but do you know how to fight the giant? Oh, that's good. Do you know how to fight the giant? Because you can imagine that to Goliath, that David looked at like a munchkin, that David, the size, because back in the day, the Bible days, you got to realize they was fighting true giants, people that was 12, 16 feet tall. They wasn't fighting no mediocre, no, they was fighting giants. And this is the hour that God let you know that, guess what, you gonna take out your giant tonight. Y'all got to know what, you better state that tonight. We killing these giants tonight. You better state that over your life. We killing these giants tonight. Come on now. So Kelsey, so come on, so we could go ahead. What God had gave to you.
So, with dealing with the giants, God told me that we need to stop holding hands with our giants. We need to stop trying to babyfy and shy our giants, and actually deal with them head on, and stop trying to be friends with them or go around them. You can't take your giants to heaven. You can't sit here and be like, oh, hey God, this lust, and she real cool. She only turn up on a Saturday night. But we could work with lust, God. We could fix her. No, you gotta deal with that giant, knock her down. You can't take her. God gonna look at you and be like, you go the other direction. You came to the wrong place. I don't deal with that. God don't play with that. We need to stop babyfying our giants, because going to Goliath, he was, like Pastor said, he was really big, and he was decked out in armor head to toe. He looked good, best of the best. And you look at David, and like Pastor said, he was trying to be dressed in soft stuff, but it was too big for him. He couldn't move, he couldn't maneuver, so he knew he had to take it off in order to do what he had to do. And he took what he knew he could use and what he had that was best suited for him to go do what he had to do. But at the end of the day, David had the best armor that any man could have. It's not any armor that anybody could see. It was the armor of God, and he knew he was good. He knew he was strapped with what he had to have. Meanwhile, like I said, the human eye, to the naked eye, Goliath was beating David by yards. But at the end of the day, David was already a million steps ahead of Goliath because he had God on his side, something that Goliath could not have and they did not have. So that we need to understand that when going to fight our giants, like, no, this situation may look bigger than you. It may look bigger than you. Unless you let it be bigger than you, it'll be bigger than you. But if you don't let it be bigger than you and know the God you serve, then what giant can't defeat you? At that point, you are bigger than any giant because God is bigger than any giant. And if you got God and God lives within you, then you are bigger than any giant. So we need to stop sitting here and being terrified and intimidated by these hard situations or these people that are in our lives. Like, we need to, crush that out. And another thing that God gave me was like with some of these giants, it's like they're like we want to see the good things in our giants because some giants, some things that we deal with, we want to see the beauty in it and don't want to see the negativity that it brings into our lives and the things that it opens up into our lives.
Yes.
And I say it's like a rose with thorns. Yes. Y'all know a rose bush got all kind of thorns. You're trying to pick the roses. They so pretty, but it hurt. And it's like you're trying to use your hand to cover the stem with all the thorns, and you're just trying to show God the rose. Meanwhile, God know you hurting because you could probably have blood leaking because you're being stabbed. But you trying to hold on so bad, and it's like having like a bad relationship or with anybody, whether it be romantically or family wise, friends or anything. You trying to see that good in that person so bad. You trying to show God the good, like, look, God, that man missing me, that woman missing me. God, don't take him out of my life. Don't take him out of my life. Meanwhile, you hurting like Lord knows what, because them thorns or the true person they really are is digging deep into you, and you're bleeding out. So, that was really what God gave me about giants and all that, and going on onto things like relationships and whatnot. God told me, He said we need to watch who we're connecting to because we don't know who and what they're connected to. And with that,
that's good.
He also gave to me that we idolize a lot of people, like because you ask kids, mainly when they're younger, like, oh, who's your idol? I don't think we should really ask that because you should not be idolizing things, besides God. And people, you'll bend over backwards for somebody that mean you're no good, but for God, you can't even touch your toes. And that just don't make sense. You're going through hell and back for somebody who could care less about what you're doing for them, and all God wants you is your attention, and for you to love Him as He loved you, and you can't even touch your toes for God. But you didn't went through hell and back for this other person. It don't make sense. How we can put so many things above God. And it might be in the sense of, I'm just friends with her because I know if I don't be friends with her, I'm gonna just be one of the people she talk about. Well, go ahead and be one of the people she talk about. It's just gonna come back on 10 times harder. God got you. Let God deal with her and what she's talking about. We need to stop being like pushing God to the side because we are afraid of dealing with certain things or situations because we cut certain people off or we do certain things for ourselves for God. So we need to cut that out. That's not That's not how we rock. So and another thing that a lot of us, I feel like we all personally struggle with, and I feel like I personally myself struggle with, is knowing how to live with humility. And the definition of humility is a modest or low view of one's own importance or humbleness. So that's not saying like, oh, you can't be proud of the blessings that God has given you, and telling your testimony and That's not saying that. It's just more of understanding that you know the God you serve, you know that you are a child of God, but don't use it and tell your testimony in a way that's borderline derogatory to other people who are learning God or who don't know of God quite yet. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So we have to, because God don't, like it says in Matthew chapter 6 verses 1-8, He basically says don't go around doing works for me, as you say, just to be seen by the people, and don't be going praying in front of all these people saying you're praying to me, whatever, for yourself, but you're doing it to be seen by the people. You're doing it really for your own glory and not mine. He said, don't be like the hypocrites. So God really wants a one-on-one connection with you. He don't want an open relationship. He want that one-on-one
Yes.
personal connection with you. If you're gonna do works, you're doing it for my glory, to glorify me, not to glorify yourself and get all this praise and oh yes, you just so blessed and
Yes.
highly favored. Look at you, girl. You did all of this. You preach that sermon, girl. You do you. I mean, okay, thank you, but it's God. It's not me. Don't praise me. Don't glorify me like that. No, no, no,
Yes.
no, no. Wrong person. And we have to be
Yes.
more careful about things like that, because you might unintentionally take the glory from God and put it on yourself. So, and when we aren't, because Pastor sent me a TikTok a little while ago about monitoring spirits, and that really made me think regarding this one. I said God don't want an open relationship, and say God, God's been providing you with all these blessings, and just you've been having, like, overflow in your life, and you want to let the whole world know. You telling everybody about the hot check that then came in the mail. How your rent was. It's just a miracle the rent was paid. This, that, and the other. But and don't make room to invite a monitoring spirit in, because they, along with the devil, only
Oh, that's
know
good.
what you tell them. They only know what's given to them. So you have to be careful, because now the devil
Yes.
and all his lagoons know what you and God got going on. And that's no, because now you
Yes.
messing with your blessings. Now you messing with your blessings. And you don't want to mess with your blessings. Stop having a conference meeting with the devil. Stop sitting there with your little binder. All right,
Come.
so today God did this for me, and about 5 weeks ago God did that for me. Oh, and me and God talked last night, and He told me that. Why is you telling all your business? We need to learn how to
Yes.
moderate and be control what we're sharing. I mean, yeah, I'm glad to hear about the
Yes.
blessings, but you don't know. Not everybody is for your blessings. Like, say, people want to stop your blessings. Like, oh, he gave you a hot check in the mail. All right, I'm gonna go. We're finna go
Yes.
try to stop that. You don't know. People. It's all
Yes.
about being fake, and it's all about the masking. I'm gonna be your friend to your face, but when I
Yes.
go home, I can't wait to literally pray on your downfall. Cause I
Yes.
had I had a
Come on.
roommate. My roommate my past year in college, she literally prayed on people's downfall. Like, when I say that's so real, it is so real. Literally praying on people's downfall. So, like, we have to really be careful who we're sharing things with, and or like just really what we're saying in general, even out loud. Like, if we talking to ourselves, 'cause I know I talk to myself. I mean, I'll say it, I talk to myself. But you really have to be careful what you put out into the world and the atmosphere, because you don't know what's listening. You don't know what's here, because they're monitoring
Yes.
spirits. It's somewhere. It's listening. It's trying to pick up and be nosy, really. So, that's kind of what God gave me.
And in Kels, I like when you had said about your friend, because is a monitoring spirit and was able to experience prayer on the people downfall. And that's the importance of a giant. And when you also said, don't take God glory, because what you don't realize, you'll be creating your own giant. You'll be creating a spirit of pride, because pride, that's what happened to Satan. To what Satan felt like that he could have went back and take God's throne. Nobody can ever take throne. And that's why when people say, oh, you hit the head, and I always tell them, I don't know nothing, but yet God knows everything. And all the glory goes to God, because you never want to build a giant unawarely to yourself. And then you have to knock it down in order for you. God said, I've separated you from the love of me. Was it vanity? Was it pride? Was it envious? Because these are giants that stands in our life. Is it unforgiveness? What giant that you have standing before you and God? And I want you to kind of go in to let the people know, like you said, when you shared the room with your roommate, and you literally saw her take, what she did to us. This is so important, y'all. You have to be careful. Are you speaking? Are you speaking life, or are you speaking death? Because a lot of times people be like, y'all, I'm about to buy me a house. Stop posting everything and stop saying everything until it's done. And then after it's done, You don't necessarily have to show it, because people will take a picture. The people will take something and pray over it. You have to understand, God said the weapon will fall, but it won't prosper. But don't give the enemy the ammunition to kill your dreams, what it is that God gave you. And so kind of elaborate when you said that people would pray on your downfall. What were some of the things that she would do so they could know?
So she was a very she was always on her phone like 24/7. Like she was a very social media involved girl. So that's really how she would find out a lot of things about people. Like if somebody was in a relationship or they got this scholarship money and they got a full ride here and things like that. And so when she would see things like that, and she would get like actually like visibly upset, and she would actually like sometimes be like, oh, like she would like actually like begin to get upset. And then she'll start talking about it because she knows she obviously I know your name, I know what you look like, I got all your social media business right there. And she would just be like speak like curses. Like she would hope they would die, she would hope they would burn, she would hope that the relationship would end and that they don't find nobody. Like when I say like some things I've never heard somebody really say about people, and I would be like, no, like no, like we don't wish death on people. We don't wish they burn, because obviously she would never say, I hope you go to hell. No, she's like, I hope you burn. And me, I already know, no, you wishing people going straight to hell, and I'm not rocking with that. Now are you in the room with me? And I really felt like I was, God, and God forgive me, I really felt like I was in the room with the devil. It was with God and the devil in the same room, and she would sit there and she would stay on the person's page watching, and she would continue, like she would kind of like deep dive into their life after that. So she would go on their page and kind of snoop, and she looking at old pictures and stuff, and like she's looking at anything she can, and she's like, and like she would start talking ugly about even their family members or like siblings that they might have had, like anything she could talk bad about, she began to talk bad about. It was never anything good. And then it was like even sometimes like it could be like maybe a couple weeks, and she'll double back to check on it again and see what they've been up to. Like it was really consistent, and it was scary because it's like, oh man, like you're really like wishing the worst for this person. And so that's when I had to really begin to put up my guard for myself, when I truly realized how she was really doing it. I'm like, oh, I don't want you to know none of the names of anybody I'm any involvement with. Like I don't want you to know what I got going on with school, nothing, because I love my grades. I love my people. I don't want you trying to tap into nothing into my life at all. And so that's why it is very, very important, especially for people my age, because I know we overshare a lot on social media and stuff, that we really do watch what we post and who has access to it, because these people had no idea that she was sitting there wishing death and other terrible things onto their life. And she was tapped into some weird stuff. She had weird little crystal things. She had tarot cards. She did not believe in God. She made that clear to me. Like she prays to the universe and all kinds of stuff like that. She was tapped in, and that room stayed covered in oil.
And so you have to know that's a giant. It is a giant. You see, we look over things like that and we just pass over it, but that's giants. Right. That everybody want to be a great influencer, but what will it cost you to be a great influencer? Because you're gonna have to sacrifice something. You got to realize that what people don't realize is not what you put on Facebook, is how many people respond to what you put on Facebook. Because you see, people play too much. We have people that get on here, we'll talk about God, we'll quote scriptures, and then the next thing we cussing like a soldier, or we depressed or whatever. No, y'all gonna pick a side. God say, choose this day whom you gonna serve. Because what you don't realize, you are creating giants. And that's why we talk about giants tonight. Because remember that David was only going to give his brothers the lunch, but God already had him prepared for what he was really going for. Because guess what? The ones that was prepared to fight the giant, they was too scared to fight him. They went to training to fight him, but they was intimidated by the size. But this is the hour that God is raising up Davids. God is raising up the ones that have been on the backside of the desert. God is raising up the non-name brand. God is raising up the ones that you close the door in their face and that you put your mouth on. God is raising up the ones that while everybody else had lights, while everybody else was in the spotlight, you was in the back training, not worried about a spotlight, not worrying about if somebody knew your name. You just knew you had to do what God have created you to do. Now, God had David watching over sheep, not realizing that he's about to make him the king of the country. You got to realize, don't take what you're doing for granted. Don't think it's too small or mediocre, because what you don't realize, what God is really preparing you for is for something great. And then when they went and they told, because David wanted to know, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? David wanted to know, why y'all scared of him? He said, because guess what? It's not supposed to be nothing that's so great that stands in front of you that you cannot fight. You cannot overcome. You have to know that you're an overcomer. You got to know that, guess what? You're going to be able to fight these giants. And another thing, Kels, when you had said, you know, the rose and the thorns was made to protect the rose. You got to realize that sometimes things are made to protect you. You want to know why your mama's so protective over you? Because was made to protect you. Some things that God will shut the door right in your face. Why? Because it became a thorn. Even Paul said, he prayed for 3 days that God take the thorn out of his side. But God said, no, because my grace is sufficient enough. But yet, if you going to be on your side that's going to remind you. Don't think that you're too hard. You know, us. And then we say, well, we walked in this room, we'll take you out. You got to realize what God is saying in this hour. He said, she said, stop holding hands with your giant. Stop holding hands with lust. Stop holding hands with fornication. Stop holding hands with gossip. Stop holding hands with unforgiveness. You walking along with this giant, and to feel better about your giant, you're going to try to sugarcoat it. No, this is the hour. You have to know what God is saying. You got to know what God is speaking. This is the hour. You got to let go of the giant, because what you don't realize, the giant don't care if you survive or not. The giant is ready to take you over. The giant is ready to kill you. The giant is looking at you. You got to realize that, guess what? Just like the giant, just like others was intimidated by the giant, you have to know that Goliath knew something about David. That's why he was talking noise. You got to realize that God knows something about you, and the enemy know that you're a warrior. The enemy know that you don't give up. The enemy know that when you open up your mouth, you make hell nervous. The enemy know when you get up in the morning and you put your feet on that ground, they know they got something to be reckoned with. You got to understand what God is saying. God letting you know that, guess what, you got to get in a place that the enemy gonna shake. Because guess what, Goliath was talking that noise, but David told him, he said, today the Lord gonna take your head off. This is the hour, y'all gonna take off the head of the enemy tonight. You've been struggling too much to say that you don't have a sword in your hand. And what I loved about David said, I'm gonna kill you with your own sword. You got to go read the whole text. He was prophesying as he was speaking to the giant. This is the hour. You got to prophesy as you speak to the giant. You got to say, you will not come back and visit this house no more, because we sealing off doors. This is the hour that, guess what, you will not come back in my spirit. We sealing off doors. I have too much to do for God. I know the repercussions for letting you back in. I know the heartache and pain for allowing you to come back in. You got to realize, guess what, I'm worth more than this. I'm not going back through the same thing all over again. You have to know how to cut it off. You have to know how to cut the head off. Because the thing about it, you could cut a snake in half, but do you not know, if you don't throw the body apart, it's going to come back together and live. You got to chop off the head of the snake. You got to chop off the head of the giant. You got to realize that, guess what, it wasn't a rock that killed Goliath. It was the chopping of his head. You got to realize that the part of the rock only was to knock him down. Tonight, you're not going to only knock that enemy down, but you're going to cut off the head. Nobody, because you no longer going to sugarcoat it. You know, you're going to speak the truth. The Bible, you know how when you go in the courthouse and say, speak the truth, I didn't speak your piece of you won't speak it. This is the hour. You won't stop the enemy. Why? Because God letting you know that this is the hour. I'm not going to play with these relationships no more. You hurt me last time. You hurt me time before that. How How many times you going to keep letting these people back in your life that's going to keep her? And God said, you already know they work. And so this is the hour. You're not coming back in. I'm sealing off the door. Yeah, I love you, but I love myself even more. You're not going to let me have dirty hands and a pure heart, because when you get me to this place, I start to hate. And I know where I'm going right now. I cannot afford to hate. You're not going to make me build up a giant. You're not going to make me because guess what? This is the hour. Be careful of spirits. We're talking about people, but do you not know a spirit transfer? You'll have a different package, the same spirit. This is the hour. You're going to chop that spirit head off and say, no, what spirit? You will not enter. It's going to come in contact with my life. Because guess what? Tonight is the night that we slay the giant. You got to speak for your life. You got to let tonight is the night that you slay the giant. You got to know who you are. And Kelsey, I'm glad that you told me about the giant, because so many times they're looking at stuff and we're not in the true size of it. This is the hour. I don't care how small you think. All you just open up your mouth and say, tonight is the night. Giant. What giant that been in your life? What giant that been holding you down? What giant that been having you second guess everything that God been telling you to do? What giant have stopped you from the process? This is the hour. You got to chop the head of the giant. This is the hour. You got to move when God says move. If you want to sow seeds, you can see tonight. Somebody wants to know. I think it's up there. You can see we in the what? We in the 6 month. You so $6, you can sow $60, whatever you want to do is on you. No, because that's what you're sowing a seed toward, chopping the head of the enemy off. This is the hour that God is moving. This is the hour that God is showing you what needs to be done. And then today, we on the 4th. This is the 4th day, or you can sow 64. You can sow 64. Why? Because that's letting you know that I'm chopping the enemy head. I'm chopping the enemy head off. And know what? This is just a point of contact, because anytime that the children cross over the Jordan or whatever, they have a milestone. So this is your milestone to let them know I'm chopping the enemy head off. You got to understand that you're going through something, and somebody don't understand what you're going through. Tonight, $64. You can sow $6. This is just a monument to know today is the day that I seal it off. I'm chopping the enemy head off, because guess what? I don't know about y'all, but guess what? If you go read in First Chronicles 20 chapter, First Chronicles the 20th chapter, 4th verse, you got to realize, guess what started happening? That David killed Goliath brothers. You got to go read it. You got to know that, guess what? Anytime God is setting up something, God is setting up protocol, God is getting you ready to do whatever it is that He is calling you to do. You have to realize that this is the hour that you have to go forward. Why? Because you're not going stand around and pity pat the enemy. You got to understand, not only Goliath was a giant standing there, but he had 4 other brothers. So how many giants that you have standing before you? How many giants that God wants you to move? How many giants that you got to shift? It's the hour. You just can't be intimidated by giants. You got to move. Tell somebody, this is the hour. You got to move. You know the very thing that's been holding you down, the very thing that's been holding you back. You got to understand. They saying, come on, Mr. Gray. You already know we chop off the enemy head. Come on, Miss Trinae. Off peace tonight. You got to know I chop off the head of the enemy. I don't have time to procrastinate. We chopping off the head of the enemy tonight. Whatever been holding you down, whatever been holding you in place, you got to chop off the enemy. Why? Because God is moving. And the thing about it was like after David cut off Goliath's head, it's not that his brothers wasn't there, but they knew who this little dude come and get one we looked up to the most, the one that was bigger than all of us. If he went down for sure, we know we coming down. And so do you not know, they never said about what his brother said, but in First Chronicles 20th, the 20th chapter, the 4th verse, go read it. It say David in his service is the one that killed the rest of the brothers. You got to understand that this is the hour that you are after giants. What you think that David did when he went to his hometown and everything was taken, he said he put on his garment, and he said, God, shall I go and pursue? God said, not only will you go pursue, you're going to go and recover all. This is the hour after you slay your giant. This is letting you know I'm about to go recover all. You got to realize what they was after. You think it was after mediocre. No, that was giants that took his family. Because guess what? They thought they was going to come back and take. Because guess what? They thought they was getting back at him. But they don't realize. God said, go and not only go and get what shows, you're going to go and recover all. This is the hour. I got to tell somebody I'm going to recover all. I'm slaying the enemy head off. I'm chopping off the enemy head. We killing the enemy head tonight. We killing those giants tonight. Come on, Kelsey. How do you kill your giant, Kelsey? Come on, because we just trying to tell them, how do you kill your giant? What did you do to kill your giant?
What you got to do to kill your giant, or what I do to kill my giants is, when I got to be real with myself that I do have giants. Because if you sitting there thinking like, oh, I don't have no giants, well, baby, you got plenty of them. Trust and believe me. If you sitting there thinking you good enough to not have no giants, you got a couple. And they need to be dealt with.
Come on.
But first, I got to be real with myself and sit there and call them out about what they are. Where it's doubt, insecurity, anxiety, depression, whatever it may be. Call it out and pinpoint it and sit there and target it. And really, like kind of David would speak and prophesy that it shall not have my life, and it shall not take over me, and it shall not have control of anything that I do in my life. For I control it, and I defeat it. And that, with God on my side, you can't touch me. You don't have no control over anything. Yes. And really, like how God talk about prayer was whatever, you speak, you shall have, things like that. It's really just kind of knowing the power that I have with God on my side. Because I feel like a lot of us, we know that God is powerful, but we forget that, like I said, if he dwells within us, we hold that same power. And like you were saying in church the other day, that we could do greater things than Jesus did while he was on earth. Because he lives within the Father lives in us. And all that stuff. So I really try to have myself understand that I have more power than I even know while serving the God that I serve. So when addressing situations like that in my life that I find stressful or whatever, and I find myself stressing over something or a situation or something like that, and I gotta take some time out, stop whatever I'm doing, and be like, oh no, like I serve an amazing God, and this situation is small. It's not as big as I'm making it. It is small. I'm giving it too much power over me, and that's another thing. I gotta realize how much power I'm giving it. I gotta take back all the power I'm giving it, because it's mine. It's not yours. So that's how I sit there and I defeat my giants.
Yes, and that's good, because you heard what she said. She's taking her power back. A lot of times that we build people to be giants over us. We give people too much clarity over us. We give the people okay to say what we not and what we not. No, you don't know what I went through to get this. So no, to you it may look like that I don't deserve it, but heaven know I deserve it. To you it may not look like I should be walking in this place, but heaven know I deserve to be walking in this place. Because so many times that you put your how they say, don't put your eggs all in the same basket. You depending on somebody to build you up when really they was meant to tear you down. You looking for somebody to have your back, but really they have knives in your back. And so this is the hour. You got to know who you are. Don't give nobody power. You got to realize when God is speaking. God is telling you, she said that she taking her power back. Because guess what? We killing a giant today. We slaying the enemy head today. Because guess what? I'm not giving you so much power. You're not going to control my life no more. You're not going to set my temperature every time I see you. I'm mad. I'm upset after I've been having a good day. You're not going to set my temperature no more. Every time I see your name pop up on my phone, I already know you calling with bad news. No, I'm not going to allow you to come inside my ear gate, because I already know how I'm going to feel when we hang up. No, we don't need to talk. We don't need to text. We just going to handle business accordingly. No, if I answer the phone call and your tone is right, I have a right to hang up on you, because I don't want to hear it, because you a giant that's trying to come back. No, we hanging up. We tell somebody I'm hanging up the phone. I'm not letting it come in my spirit. No, if you're coming to tell me what somebody else said about me, I don't even want to hear that, because if God want me to know, God gonna let me dream it, and God gonna let me hear it, and God gonna take care of it. So no, we don't have time this hour to let people keep plant seeds and let people build giants. And so this is the hour. And I love that what you said, Kelsey. You have the authority over it. Will you stay there and entertain? You can imagine how Goliath was looking, how Goliath was feeling win because all the ones that people thought that was going to come knock them down was too scared to fight them. You know that God is setting us up for this generation that guess what, when nobody else going to do, we going to be able to do it. When everybody else scared to walk into, we going to be able to walk into it. Everybody else going to have so much to say. But when it was your time to get in the front line, where were you then? So you shouldn't have nothing to say. This is the hour we chopping the giant head off. You got to realize how long they never gave the time limit or how long Goliath was there talking head. But guess what? God had already had somebody set up because God said, "No, what? This is enough. I'm tired of him talking. No, what? He about to get his head chopped off because I got somebody." You have a popular name. God is about to use the ones that everybody else hated on. That noise the giant was talking, but the giant did not intimidate you. This is the hour. This is how you better move on. I'm glad I got a lot of warrior women with me, because guess what? We ain't letting the enemy come and talk no noise. We they love him because they think, guess what? We think is the baddest one, because guess what? He is spokesperson. Be careful, for you always want to be. Stop being that spokesperson, because they're about to set you up for a downfall. This is the hour. Sometimes you just got to let people talk for themselves or let God do the talking. And so all in all, they never said how long he was there. They never said how many days he was there. But they didn't put nobody else up, but they put him up because they made the whole they didn't have on no armor. They didn't have no sword in his hand. They wasn't prepared for the little boy that been on the backside of the desert, that felt like that he wasn't chose. Because one thing about it, before he fought Goliath, he had to get anointed with all. Can I everybody got to realize that guess what?
How y'all doing? God bless y'all. I hope y'all having a good night. I hope y'all enjoyed the word tonight. But yes, y'all, we gonna open
you know the enemy did not want me, and it been breaking up tonight, and I apologize for that. But guess what? The enemy cannot. This is what we need to know. First, before David ended, he had to be on it. He had to be by others. You guys got in contact with the enemy. He had to be established in the heaven. God came down in the dove. He said, "This is my son whom I well please." Then he kind of acted with the enemy. Before David was able to even fight Goliath, he first had to be appointed. You got to realize that every time that you're appointed, every time that God anoints you.
All right. So yes, y'all, we going, like I said, Pastor saying, you got to be appointed and stuff by God and all that, and you got to know what your calling is through God and stuff, and you have to know who y'all say. You got to know who God called you to be when you going to fight these giants. Because if you feel like God did not create you to be more than, and you going to try to go fight a giant, well then you already given the giant opportunity to win.
Y'all, the enemy don't want us to talk tonight, but I canceled the assignment. But we're gonna have part 2 tomorrow. So Kelsey, we're gonna do part 2 tomorrow. So that way we pray that everything be established, that nobody miss nothing. And everybody that sowed the seed tonight, remember that guess what? You chopping the enemy head off on tonight. And we're going to go into prayer tomorrow, and we're going to talk more about David and the giants. So y'all let somebody know we're going to be tuning in tomorrow talking about the giants, because so many people have giants in their life, even if it's sickness or whatever. Let them be tuned in tomorrow. And so we're going to come back tomorrow. I love y'all. We'll be back tomorrow talking about the giants. Love y'all and have a blessed night. Amen and amen.